Well, look at this. We're out in Holcomb Valley, and it's been snowing out here. You know, there's so much off-road trails and everything here in the San Bernardino National Forest. And I've got a guy that knows it all about it anyway, Ben Von Dieligen with the San Bernardino National Forest Association. And what do you do with them, Ben?
Well, Ron, I work as the Off-Highway Vehicle Education Outreach Coordinator, which basically stresses the importance of stewardship and responsible recreation to help keep these trails open, help keep the forest pristine, and help preserve the forest for future generations to enjoy, so they can have the same recreational opportunities that we all enjoy right now.
Oh, that's great.
It's good stuff.
I've been on a lot of the trails here, and they are pristine. I mean, you don't find a lot of trash or anything, so people do carry out what they carry in.
A lot of people do carry out what they carry in, but let's not underestimate, we also have a volunteer base through the San Bernardino National Forest Association. We have a volunteer off-highway vehicle group.
Oh, yeah.
And they do a bunch of patrolling, and they do a lot of trash pickup, a bunch of trail maintenance. They do a lot of peer-to-peer education. They'll come across people in the forest and talk about the need to preserve these lands for other generations to enjoy, and to keep, again, like I said, to keep these opportunities available to the public. So we have a lot of volunteers who spread the good word as well.
Now, how do you volunteer? They contact you?
They can just contact me. I can go ahead and put in touch with anybody who wants to get involved with volunteering. They can contact me at 909-382-2872. Or you can also access the San Bernardino National Forest Association's website at www.sbnfa.org.
Right.
And you can find out all information about volunteering with the association there for off-highway vehicle and other programs as well, such as our Children's Forest program, Big Bear Discovery Center program, Fire Lookouts program, all sorts of things. There's a bunch of stuff you can do.
Oh, yeah. I know that a lot of people feel that off-roading is just during the summer months, but there's a lot in the winter.
There is, and you get to see a whole different type of forest in the wintertime as well. As you've seen from looking out across the fields, everything's just covered in white. It's just beautiful. It provides a unique challenge to the vehicles as well, whether you're in a four-wheel drive vehicle or a quad, or some people even take out their motorcycles in the snow. And it kind of creates a nice different experience for the off-road enthusiast.
Now, a motorcycle, do they have to be street ready to go here, or do they don't have to?
It depends on the trails. It depends on the trails, Ron. There are some green sticker only trails, which means the vehicle it does not have to be registered for street legal. But if you do want to go on a street legal vehicle only, your bike must be street legal, such as a dual sport or something like that.
Oh, sure.
And of course, ATVs can't go on street legal trails here in the forest.
Yeah.
But one thing that is important to remember, regardless of whatever vehicle you're riding and you're driving when you're going off-highway in the wintertime, is the winter forest has its own unique landscape and its own unique set of concerns, if you will. Because even though you can't see certain things underneath the blanket of snow, there are still fragile ecosystems out there that snow being compressed upon by a vehicle, for example, if you go off the trail or off the road that you're following, you can do some serious damage that will be very, very, very visible. We want to try to help people understand that just because you look across and see this blank, white, beautiful canvas of snow, there's still a very fragile forest ecosystem under there, so it's imperative to still stay on the trail and obey all the rules like you would in the summertime.
Sure. I know that we have 400 and some miles of trails in San Bernardino National Forest?
Something around that, about 460, I think. Somewhere around there. And it's all different skill levels, from greens being the easiest to black diamonds being the hardest. And, so there's something really for everybody of every opportunity.
Now, are they made marked? Are the trails marked?
The trails are marked
by diamonds.
By either a green circle, a blue square, or by a black diamond. If you're a skier, it's very much like skiing in terms of progressing in difficulty.
Oh, sure.
And every trail should be marked at the beginning of the trail with the difficulty of that trail, and also for what vehicles can go down it. For example, you mentioned motorcycles going on street legal roads. It will mention at certain places street legal vehicles only. So if you have a green sticker motorcycle, for example, you can see that sign and realize, okay, this is not the road for me. I have to go find another road that's a multi-purpose road.
Right.
Unless, of course, you have a dual sport, in which case you can go down that street legal road.
And you know one thing, you really shouldn't do it alone. You should always have a buddy with you, another vehicle, because you never know when you're going to get stuck.
Absolutely, absolutely. Especially in the snow conditions like this. Like I said, the interesting thing about winter is there's a whole different field that you're playing on. You might think that you have a nice smooth cruising area. You might drop into a 5-foot drift, and if you have somebody else there with you, maybe with a winch or something like that, they can help get you out.
Sure.
But even just for basic safety throughout the entire year, you should never participate in these sorts of things by yourself.
Right.
Always it's good to have a buddy system, somebody else can help you out in case the unpleasant happens.
And a cell phone, I mean, we're here in Holcomb Valley, and I'm on Verizon, and I have 2 bars, so I can, phone out of here. So you really should always carry your cell phone, because you never know.
Absolutely.
Whether you have a service there or not.
It doesn't hurt to have it. They weigh almost next to nothing. But again, it's no substitute for being prepared.
That's right.
Because you can't be guaranteed that someone can get you on the cell phone and know how to get to you.
Sure.
Radio is another great way to try and maintain contact. But again, when you go out into the forest, you really should try and be as self-reliant as possible and to minimize any chance you might have of becoming stuck and having to be rescued. You really are your own best preparation in being rescued. So if you plan ahead, hopefully you won't have to worry about having to come out and try and find you.
And one of the key things up here, too, because it's so dry, is to always carry water with you.
Absolutely. Even in the wintertime, it's important to carry water. In fact, I've got a few things here.
Oh, okay. Yeah, let's take a look.
Well, these are just a few things that if you're going out for a day, whether you're going out for a hike or going out for a ride on your vehicle, or even going out for horseback, just little things that you should always take with you pretty much year-round, but especially in the wintertime. In the wintertime, you should really be prepared to spend the night just in case the unforeseen happens. Again, plan for the worst, hope for the best.
Right.
But what you can see here, I've got a couple extra layers of clothing. Got an extra hat because you lose so much heat through your head.
Right.
Especially this one here drops down and covers your ears.
Right.
Got a little flashlight because a lot of times if you're in the dark and you get a little bit concerned and scared, you can also use this as a signal. If a search party, for example, comes out looking for you at night, especially with a blanket of snow, a light can be seen for a long ways, especially if you reflect it back onto the snow.
Sure.
So that'd be really good. And you mentioned water. I have a quart of water here. You can definitely carry more. I would encourage you to carry more because people don't realize, like you said, how dry it is. When it's cold, you really do sweat quite a lot, but it's so cold your body just dries out real fast, but you still need that water. Snow will drop your core temperature and make you a little bit colder and could induce hypothermia, so having water is good.
Sure.
And having a good high energy food like peanuts, that's ideal.
Oh, yeah.
So have something like that. And then, of course, you want to carry all a nice little bag and carry more clothes, maybe an emergency space blanket. And one thing you should always have in the forest, no matter what, should be a map and compass and or a GPS, and be familiar with how to use it. Because you really need to know where you're going, particularly, again, that's true in the wintertime, when the landscape looks a little bit different.
Right. Now, the red jacket, is that a jacket? The red?
The red is a jacket, and that's a waterproof, breathable Gore-Tex jacket. And that's just a good one to have out there. And the color red is kind of nice because if you do get into an emergency situation, it's very visible.
Oh,
Colors
sure.
like red or bright orange or yellow, those are very, very visible. The key thing is if you get lost in the woods, don't panic, try and stay calm. Usually you want to try and stay in one place. That way it makes it easier for search parties to find you. And try to draw as much attention to yourself as possible when people are coming out looking for you.
Right.
But again, hopefully with planning ahead, you won't have to worry about being rescued.
And again, you should let someone know where you're going.
Absolutely.
About where you're going to be and about when you're going to be back.
Absolutely. And for those people who might be watching this who don't have people up on the mountaintop they can contact, the Big Bear Discovery Center, which is on the north shore of Big Bear Lake, it's staffed almost all the time by rangers and volunteers. And I'm sure no one would mind if you went in there and told somebody, I'm going to go out hiking, I'm going to come back and sign out. At least that way somebody has an idea you're going out in the forest to recreate.
Oh, right.
And while you're there, we also have an adventure outpost store conveniently located right there at the Discovery Center. And you can pick up hats, and you can pick up flashlights and water and food, and even we have plenty of maps and books on trails for off-highway vehicle use, for mountain biking use, hiking, for bird watching, whatever you want to do. There's a ton of information there, and a very knowledgeable, friendly staff as well.
Right.
But it's a place where you can get all the stuff you need for a day in the forest.
You bet. I'd like to tell people, too, that the Discovery Center is just one of a kind in the country, and it's a partnership between a nonprofit, San Bernardino National Forest Association, and the U.S. Forest Service.
That's correct. It's a partnership between the San Bernardino National Forest Association and the U.S. Forest Service going back to 1993. And the Discovery Center opened its doors in the late 90s. And it's really viewed as just one of the preeminent facilities in the United States. and it's got an interpretive learning center. We staff a bunch of bald eagle tours happen on a regular basis. So if someone wants to come up and view some of the bald eagles around beautiful Big Bear Lake, we can contact the Discovery Center and do that. We also have snowshoe tours that take off from the Discovery Center. And there's just a plethora of information. It's a great staging ground for almost any adventure if you're going out around the Big Bear area. It's a great place to start your trip.
And then also in the summertime, you have trails, hiking trails that leave the Discovery Center area, and they're interpretive trails.
Correct. There are interpretive trails, hiking trails. A naturalist will oftentimes go along and provide information to the public as to what they're seeing, because it always makes you feel a better connection with nature when you understand what you're looking at, as opposed to a tree. You understand it's a coulter pine.
Right.
And then we also have canoe tours in the summertime as well. So if you are a water sports enthusiast, whether it be paddling on a lake, you can come into the Discovery Center, take a canoe tour.
That's right.
And again, conveniently, we have all the things you need for canoe tour at the Discovery Center outpost as well. So
I know it.
It's kind of a one-stop shop, if you will, for all your adventures on Big Bear Lake.
And it's named right. It's a Discovery Center.
Exactly. You can discover pretty much everything in the forest you'd like, be it environmental information, recreational information, or history of the forest and its communities.
Right. And of course, we're with a group here. Actually, today they have snowshoe. This is a Saturday, and they do have snowshoeing on Saturdays. And then they have bald eagle tours.
That's correct.
On Saturdays also, and they're all guided.
They are.
The bald eagle tour on Saturday was they saw 5 bald eagles, which is really good.
That's excellent.
We have the largest assembly of bald eagles than just about anywhere in Southern California, from as few as 10 to 12 to up to 30 and 40.
It's a great population, and it's a phenomenal opportunity also for someone from Los Angeles, for example, or Orange County, who thinks, I'd like to see a bald eagle, I'd love to see the symbol of America, but it's kind of hard to find those. And 2 hours later, you're up in the mountaintop, and you have a chance to see a beautiful bald eagle, and it's really an amazing sight.
Hey, it is.
To see one of those on the Persian and take off, it's phenomenal.
A little bit of trivia is when our forefathers was trying to determine what would be the symbol of America. Do you know that Ben Franklin wanted it to be the turkey?
I remember hearing that.
And then the other says, well, no, the bald eagle. Well, no, the turkey. And I guess they had quite a verbal fight over what it was supposed to be.
It was a pretty spirited debate, but
and it ended up the bald eagle.
Ultimately, I really respect and like Ben Franklin, but this time I'm glad that he did not get this way. I'm much more supportive of the bald eagle.
That's right. Now, what do you do particularly? Do you have classes and all of that as far as your particular job?
For my program, I do. I offer a lot of different variety with our OHV programs. I shouldn't say myself. I have a great staff that I work with. Named Dale Johnson, who runs the Volunteer Patrol Program, which is just a massive undertaking in and of itself. And Dale pretty much oversees people on the ground and organizes patrols. And then personally, what I do, I work with an educational component oftentimes. And we have a great curriculum called On the Right Trail. It's a land ethics, environmental education-based curriculum. And a nice little unique facet about it, Ron, is it meets or exceeds actually all of the California state educational standards. But it relates all this stuff, science, social science, that sort of thing, threatened endangered species. It relates all of that back to trail use and recreation. So, for example, a teacher who wants to introduce their children to, how sensitive certain plants can be and why ecology is important, or understand the balance of ecology and, the give and take of nature, they could use this curriculum, but they would relate it to dirt bikes, for example, or they relate it to horseback riding, or hiking, or hunting, or something like that. So already they're talking to these kids about something about which the kids might have a very good interest, and they're conveying their message kind of in a sneaky way, because the student hears about dirt biking. Oh, cool! Tell me more about that. Next thing you know, you're teaching about trail ethics and land use. You're teaching about the ecological balance of things and how long it can take for things to decompose and for trails to go away once they've been burned in. And it's a great tool. It's a fantastic tool. And again, anybody who wants to ask me more questions about that or any teachers who may want to bring that into their classroom, I'd be happy to go and give a demonstration or go give a presentation.
Sure.
They can also call me at 909-382-2872 and be happy to schedule for them.
Sure, and I'll have it in the studio too, so they can call me there.
Oh, that would be great. Thank you.
Find out about it. I know that several times, they have a lot of events at the Discovery Center.
They do.
Educational events, Native American, to all kinds. And a lot of times you have a booth there to really explain everything and to try to get volunteers.
Correct. We're always looking for more volunteers for the Off-Highway Vehicle Program. And we do have booths there. We'll hand out maps whenever we have maps available. A lot of times they're really phenomenal maps too, topographical maps. Information. Most of our volunteers, almost all of our volunteers, are expert enthusiasts about this forest.
Sure.
They know it inside and out. And they are just a phenomenal source for information about this forest and about trails. And they're more than happy to talk to anybody about may not be a good trail for the day, depending on what you want to see, what you want to do.
Sure.
Also information about certain regulations that might be into effect. We usually have pretty up-to-date information regarding, for example, sound regulations or green sticker, and if routes change, we usually know about those. If certain routes are closed, like for example during the wintertime, there might be some roads closed. We usually know most of that sort of stuff as well. And we always have a booth at the gala. We'll often have booths throughout the summer as well for anybody who has some information.
Right.
And anyone who wants to volunteer.
Now, do they have to have anybody on the trails? Do they have to have an adventure pass?
If you're on the trails, you don't need an adventure pass. The catch comes when you stop.
Right.
If you stop at what's called a developed area, that usually involves something that has picnic tables or a toilet system or something along those lines. That's considered a developed area.
Right.
And that's when you would need to have an adventure pass displayed on the vehicle you park and stop there.
Sure.
Now, for example, if you pull off of the highway onto a road and you just drive and go back, you don't need an adventure pass for that. But a lot of people are curious about the adventure pass dollars, and just as a little aside for them who may not know, those adventure pass dollars go right back into the forest.
I know.
They go right back into improving the facilities. They go back into keeping the toilets clean, to keeping the developed areas clean of trash, up to date, and they also help fund the printing of maps. So those off-highway vehicle maps we've been handing out, the topographical maps, and some other maps as well,
Sure.
those are printed with adventure pass dollars, which is why we can hand them out for no cost. So it works out pretty well.
That's great. I tell you, it's phenomenal. It's educational, and it's right here.
It is, and it's right in your backyard.
I know it.
It's a 10-minute drive, if that, from Big Bear.
Yeah, that's for
It's
sure.
a great opportunity.
Well, Ben, thanks so much.
Thank you,
I
Rob, for
hope
having me.
that this has been educational also
I
for
hope so.
people.
I hope
and
so.
we'll run this several times so that people will really know them.
Excellent. And if you happen to miss this, or if you do see this and you get inspired, come out and see us at the Discovery Center. Come visit us at Sky Forest. Come if you see a volunteer on
Sure.
the trail in the green uniform with a volunteer on their sleeve.
Right.
Stop by and say hello. If you have any questions, please ask. All these folks are really friendly and be happy to share any knowledge.
Sure. Before we leave, there's one other thing that the San Bernardino National Forest Association handles, and that's the children's forest
Yes.
down in the Running Springs area.
Yes, that's right. And the Children's Forest is great. One thing that's really unique about the Children's Forest is that it is all the Visitor Information Center at the Children's Forest is in fact staffed by youth volunteers.
Right.
And it's amazing to see the reaction of adults and children both when these youth volunteers are educating them about the forest.
Sure.
And these youth volunteers, they know their stuff. And they are dedicated youth, and these are people in their teens and high school. And it's so admirable and so encouraging to see these folks out there educating the public about responsible recreation.
Right.
And we have snowshoe tours there and interpretive programs there. In the fall, there's the Fall Heritage Festival that's
Right.
in the Children's Forest. It's a great event as well. And you can also access information about the Children's Forest through sbnfa.org.
Sure. Very good. Thanks, Ben, so much.
Thank you, Ron.
Good meeting you out here in the wilderness of
You
Holcomb
too.
Valley. And give your number one more time.
Okay, one more time. My number to my direct line, that is, would be 909-382-2872. And if you just want general information about the SBNFA or the programs and you have internet access, please visit www.sbnfa.org.
Great.
You can find more phone numbers and more information there than I can even think to tell you right now.
That's right. Thanks, Ben, so much.
Thank you, Ron. Have a nice afternoon. out here.
You too, my
All right,
friend.
buddy.
Okay, that concludes the segment here in beautiful Holcomb Valley. Snowy day, and it really is not too cold. And as we look way on down there, we see the snowshoe group coming back up. And we'll chat about them a little bit later. So that's it from here. Now stay tuned for these commercials.